what's going on? Welcome back, everybody. We have a surprise show. You all not used to seeing me here in the mornings or in the afternoon. I say morning show with Dr. Kojo, but we know what time it is. It's 12 o'clock. It's noon here in California, and it's 3 p.m. and it's 3 p.m. On the East Coast. But I have a couple of thoughts. I keep getting questions about this Oscar situation. Me to these comments. What's up, everybody? I did not have a front row seat at the Oscars. I was talking with a friend. I said I'm a D-list celebrity. So I was way back on a different level. I was not like up there, but I was at the Oscars, and we were not sure. We were not sure what was going on, honestly. I was looking around, to the left or right of me. I was trying to figure out if, the slap was real. And, I'll go ahead and, we'll check in and see where everybody's checking in from. But real quick, I was confused too. I was just as confused as anybody who was there. And, yeah, just a confusing situation. And looking at Chris Rock, I mean, I I don't know. He's and Will Smith is such a good actor too that I was like, this must be staged. And I was looking around and everybody else was kind of confused. So I'm like, all right, if everybody is confused at the Oscars, then this was not planned, right? So as we all know right now, this thing was legit. And I'll give my thoughts on it. People were saying, did you get Will's number? I'm like, Will Smith has no idea who I am, and none of them know who I am. But let's go ahead and let me see where people are checking in from. Like I said, I'm checking in from Los Angeles, California, and yeah, it was not staged. It was definitely not staged. I was looking at everybody. I was like, "What's going on over here?" And this is my first. I've never even watched the Oscars before, so this is my first time watching the Oscars. This is my first time going to the Oscars. Just an interesting night. So we got people checking in from Minneapolis, Detroit, Washington, Milledgeville, Georgia, Fort Worth, Texas, San Antonio, Chicago. Okay. I am checking in from Los Angeles, California, Augusta, Georgia. All right. Okay. So people are checking in from all over. Let's go ahead and get into the topic. So my thoughts. First of all, let me start off with Chris Rock. Okay. So Chris Rock, uh, it's funny because Chris Rock is actually my favorite comedian of all time. So Chris Rock is somebody that I've been wanting to meet for a long time. So I was just there like, oh, Chris Rock, Chris Rock. And you have to go back to the Oscars. I think when Chris Rock hosted a couple years ago, and he had made some Will and Jada jokes, right? And this is where we're going to talk about online bullying versus comedy, because within the comedy world, it's very it's a weird time to be a comedian, because you can make jokes about certain things, but certain things we probably shouldn't joke about, right? And I was not aware about Jada's condition, the alopecia. I had no idea. I was not aware about it. But as a general like man law, there's certain things that we don't joke about, right? We do not joke about anybody's wife. We don't joke about people's wives. We don't joke about people's kids. We don't joke about people's parents. And especially, let's say you're talking about somebody's wife, right? I come from the South, right? In Georgia, the way I grew up, we don't joke about somebody's wife, right? There's a couple things that you don't do. You don't laugh about somebody's wife. When you meet, a couple, right? You go shake the man's hand first. Then you say, "Oh, hey, nice to meet your lady," right? It could be his girlfriend or his wife, So that's how you do things. You never have another man's wife's name in your mouth. We don't flirt with somebody's. This is just how things are. So I feel like Chris Rock knows this, right? You just don't do these things to about somebody's wife. But that's why I want to talk about the online bullying, right? So we know with Will and Jada, and I don't have to get into it because y'all watched the Red Table Talk. Y'all know what is going on. But with Will and Jada, they become like the easy thing to talk about, right? Everybody wants to talk about Will this, Jada this open relationship. This person is sleeping with this person's wife. So if you look, I mean, I'm sure if you Google Will Smith, right? Even before yesterday, you Google Will Smith or Will and Jada. There's all these different jokes, or people are joking about Will and Jada this, Will and Jada that, right? But the majority of these people will never ever meet Will Smith. And Chris Rock was probably saying things that a lot of people, thought in their heads. But aside from it being the Oscars, it's still one man talking about another man's wife. So you never, I mean, Chris Rock is my favorite comedian of all time, but I gotta say, Chris Rock, you don't want to talk about somebody's wife, right? There's just a line that we don't cross. You don't talk about somebody's wife. But and someone says he's right. Look. So Javonda, I agree. Chris Rock is a comedian. He's my favorite comedian of all time. But you cannot talk about somebody's wife. Like the way I was raised. You if you talk about somebody's wife, or you something bad's gonna happen to you, right? You don't mess with somebody's wife. But I will say that was probably Chris Rock's only mistake of the night, because the situation could have been way, way, way worse. So I definitely want to give Chris Rock some credit, because as Will Smith is approaching him on the main stage, Chris Rock is like, all right, like what's gonna go on? Will takes his hand, opens up, and then he smacks him, and we all saw it. And at that point, Chris Rock could have done a couple of different things, right? He could have fought back. He could have tackled him. He could have cussed back at him. And he took the slap on national TV, like a man. And of course, anytime they have these programs like the Oscars, the Emmys, the Grammys, any one of these big programs, there's going to be that little 30-second delay. So I'm sure you all could not hear anything at home. Like, at some point they're going to, I think the international broadcast, I caught it, but at some point they're going to cut it off to where you can't hear what's going on. And I agree with Carrie right here. Carrie, I agree. So Will Smith was also out of line for attacking Chris Rock. And then somebody made a tweet on Twitter. There's Kathy Griffin. So Kathy Griffin made the tweet where she said that this is gonna allow people, who go to comedy shows, to go up and attack comedians and assault comedians if they don't like a certain joke. And I've been to many comedy shows here in LA, and I've been in situations where I've seen hecklers want to go and assault the person on stage. So we definitely have to talk about comedian safety, because two wrongs don't make a right? So Chris Rock was wrong, Will Smith was wrong, right? And I have to give Chris Rock credit because he did not fight back. And there's certain times that you cannot fight back, right? And that was one of the situations where you just can't fight back. He could have fought back, but I compare it to like me working at the psychiatric hospital, right? So my first time when I stepped in the psych facility, I was like 21, right? I was a new RN on the unit, and you had patients who, some of these guys are manic. They hadn't slept in days, or they're hearing voices. Sometimes I had one patient run towards me, and I'm a big guy. I'm 6'3", 210, right? And this is the only time that somebody has like ran that fast towards me, and it was on a football field. So I did what I was told to do in orientation. I ran away because I'm an employee at a psychiatric facility. So if somebody's trying to attack me, I cannot attack them back. You can, but you can't. That's not what you're supposed to do. So you have to give Chris Rock credit for not attacking Will Smith back. And of course, they went back and we all heard what Will said back and forth. But that situation could have gone way, way, way worse. And Shell is saying that it's considered assault. Yeah, it's considered assault. It's definitely considered assault. LAPD, was like Chris Rock could have pressed charges. I had a feeling that he wouldn't, and I'm not surprised that he did not press charges because there's nothing for Chris Rock to gain from this, right? You sue Will Smith, what's going to happen? Nothing. You know, there's no benefit of suing anybody. That's the sad thing about it. You just don't win. This is a lose-lose for everybody involved, right? Chris Rock did not win. Will Smith won, and it was his first Oscars. But I'm sure the Academy is going to have something to say next year when they're playing the 2023 Oscars, and because we never want that type of thing on TV. But I hope that we use this as a learning lesson. And I'm a big fan of. I like both men, Chris Rock and Will Smith. But I was shocked seeing that. I had never seen something like that before ever. I think the lesson from this is we have to understand that when it comes to online bullying, there are people who are like, for example, let's just take me, for example. So I'm seeing here, Tina says Chris Rock deserved that. I don't think Chris Rock deserved that. This thing sucks all the way around. Chris Rock did not deserve that. Jada did not deserve the joke. Wilson. I mean, the whole thing was just, and then like when I went back and looked at the clips, it looks like Denzel had pulled what's his name, Will Smith to the side and was trying to like lecture him. I definitely did not see that in person. I didn't see Denzel at all, but I mean, shout out to him for wanting to do that. But I don't think anybody won in this situation. Nobody won at all. Chris Rock didn't win. Will Smith didn't win, and nobody really won. But I think we all can win by taking a lesson from it. And I see people who are asking if it was staged. No, this thing was not staged at all. And there's somebody who was there. No, no, it was not staged. I was like, this is some real, sh, it. This is not staged. But the lesson that I want you all to take from this is keep in mind we have our phones, right? I got 3. How many iPhones do I got? I got 3 iPhones, right? So I say well connected. So it's easy for us to hop up on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, and we'll say certain things about professional athletes. We'll say certain things about movie stars and entertainers and comedians. But keep in mind that there's still somebody at the end of when people say Kanye West this or Kanye West that, there's still somebody like Kanye West is a real person. People mention Kim Kardashian, she did this. Like, these are real people, real situations, right? So people always ask me, hey, go DM Kanye West or go talk to Pete Davidson. I'm like, you know what? That's none of my business. Like, it's not for me to go and talk to these people, or if one of them reaches out to me, of course, then we'll have a conversation and it won't be publicized. But you definitely have to understand that you make a joke about somebody, right? Like people watching home, you can make a joke about Kim Kardashian, right? And then one day you meet her. What are you going to say? I tell people that all the time. Like, what's the chance that you meet Kim Kardashian? Probably low. But let's just say you say, oh, she's the worst person in the world. And for some reason, you meet her and you're sitting there in front of her, right? Spam call. You're sitting there in front of her and, you tweeted this 2 years ago. So you have to understand that with social media is changing a lot of things. And, when it comes to trash talking or heckling people or saying something about certain people, we have to be very, very, very careful about what we say about certain people, And another person Katie's laughing the spam call. Katie, were you calling me? But yeah, another person I could think of is Russell Westbrook, right? We know he's playing for the Lakers. He's not having the best year, right? He's struggling this year. And people will say Russell Westbrook, right? Instead of saying Westbrook, they'll say Westbrook. And you see these videos where somebody's heckling the the athlete from the stands, and like a LeBron or a Devin Booker or Westbrook will turn around and they'll go up to the fan, and people say hurtful things, and it doesn't matter how much money you have or how big of a celebrity you are. Like, these things do affect people, and it does hurt people when you say these things. So with this Will Smith situation, I unfortunately for Chris Rock, I feel like that slap was not just a slap for at Chris Rock. That slap was a slap of frustration. Years of being bullied online for the nature of his relationship, right? And I'm not here to say Will should leave Jada or Will. That's none of my business, right? That's none of our business, right? But I can respect the man who said he's going to stick by his woman regardless. It's not for us to figure that out. We have to worry about our own relationship. Let's figure out what we have going on at home. But for a man who wants to, who says he's gonna stick by his wife through thick and thin, and I made a covenant with God, and I'm gonna ride this thing out all the way. I have nothing but respect for that. So I respect Will Smith for being a fierce defender of his family. But in no way do I condone the violence, right? I see some people saying that it's a good thing that Will Smith slapped him. No, that's not a good thing. That's not a good thing. Not a good thing at all. There's no cool points that you get for hitting anybody, right? I'm a big fan of Alicia. I appreciate you. I'm happy you noticed. I'm a big fan of people keeping their hands to themselves, right? This is male to male, lady to lady, lady to man, man to woman. We should all keep our hands to ourselves, So, Cheryl, I appreciate you. So those are my thoughts. Now, I probably got like 10 more minutes in here. Let me see what people's thoughts are in here. Jen says, I have great respect for Rock, not Will. Okay. And Danielle says she's been so open and honest about her alopecia. It's very hard to do that, especially as a Black woman. All right, so I saw this take as well, where somebody was saying, Chris Rock disrespected a Black woman on, this big stage. Everybody's watching the Oscars from around the world, and I'm not going to defend Chris Rock here, right? And I'm picking my words carefully, so that way my publicist doesn't have a heart attack right now. But when Chris Rock made the joke, I think he was going from this perspective of what can get me the most laughs. So he went with the G.I. Jane reference. So he went with that. He was thinking, how can I get the most laughs, right? So I don't think Chris Rock wanted to embarrass Jada in front of the world, right? That's what he ended up doing, So the intent may have been good, right? But the outcome was still, very hurtful for her. I mean, just by watching, right? You saw when the camera cut to her, she was not pleased at all. So I don't think that was Chris Rock's intention at all. But it was very hurtful. And yeah, you gotta give Jada credit for being open and honest about alopecia. It's very difficult, because we talk a lot on this channel. We talk a lot about conditions that, for example, ADHD, right? You can't look at somebody until they have ADHD. There's no blood test for that. There's no blood test for bipolar disorder. There's no blood test for depression, right? So somebody can be depressed or they can have a mental illness and you wouldn't know, right? But something like alopecia, right? You can kind of, even if you don't know what alopecia is, you can kind of look at somebody and be like, they have something going on, right? And it's visible. So I'm sure there's a lot of embarrassment there. And yeah, it sucks all the way around. Like, this situation sucks. Like, it's not, I know people are like, they run to make a joke of it. And I mean, people got to do what they got to do. But this situation, it definitely, it sucks. I don't think anybody won, in regards to the situation. And he says violence does not cure anything. I hope they can. Yeah. I hope, Heather, I agree. I hope they can solve the problem through. And, as expected, I felt like Chris Rock was going to decline to press charges because, like I said, he gains nothing from stretching this thing out. And now Carrie is saying that G.I. Jane is a badass, so I don't understand the uproar. Right. So, all right, Carrie, let's talk about this. For example, when you go to a comedy show and somebody makes a joke, if the joke is very edgy, you'll have half of the crowd that's like, I don't know if I should laugh at that. Another half of the crowd is like laughing, right? Um, and I mean, the difference is this is not a regular comedy show. This is the Oscars, right? And you're making a joke about somebody who's actually in the audience, like like she's actually in the audience. So I see why it was hurtful for her. And you have to understand that when you have a platform, people like when there's numbers and people who follow you, you you have influence, right? So you have to understand that with influence comes a lot of responsibility. So if for example, like me, right, I got a couple of followers online, so like I know that the things that I say, the words have weight to it. So I can't just wake up and say, all right guys, I'm just gonna start talking reckless. I have to think about things before I talk. And likewise, when you're a comedian, and as somebody who I go to a lot of comedy shows, when you're a comedian or when you're a famous comedian and you're on uh, stage, there's a tendency to laugh at jokes that aren't really funny. I hope y'all follow me on that. Like I went to go see Kevin Hart 2 months ago, right? Was it his best show? I don't think it was his best show, but it was a fairly decently funny show, right? But because Kevin Hart's performing, right, and we're all in the room, like people are like glued, like you're waiting to laugh, right? So sometimes because it's Chris Rock, right, the laugh you get might be so like, you know, it might be like such a strong laugh, and then you're sitting there and you're embarrassed. So I can see how Jada felt like she was being embarrassed on a international platform. So I mean, at the end of the day, like you have to validate somebody's feelings, even if you thought the joke was funny. I mean, if she didn't think it was funny, then it's not funny to her, right? And someone says, should comedy be censored? Danica, this is a good question. I do not know the answer to it. Um, uh, wow, good question. I don't know the answer to it, but like I said, there's certain things that we don't talk about, right? You don't like, and you should know, but sometimes people don't know that. That's why we have these issues. We don't know what should be censored and what shouldn't be censored. So once again, anything that has to do with somebody's spouse or kids or parents or family is off, right? Anything that has to do with somebody's like race or sexual orientation. This is just for me, right? It should be out of the question. Or even me, like when I make funny videos on TikTok, I never, ever, 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 ever make the video from the perspective of uh, me making fun of the patient. Can't do it. Even if I make a video and I'm about to post it, right? And it's a trending video, trending sound, and I'm like, oh, this video can reach a lot of people. If I think to myself that somebody might think that I'm making fun of a patient, I scrap that video fast. Like I will not post that video. I mean, because of my community, like people be like, what's Kojo doing? Kojo, this is not, Kojo's been hacked. Kojo doesn't make fun of patients on his page. And I never will. But if I feel like people might think that I am, I can't do it. So when I'm doing comedy, like it's probably not going to be as funny as uh, name a comedian. But I guess a real comedian should answer that question: should comedy be censored? But for me, there's definitely a limit on what I'm going to say. I'm not going to be out here making edgy jokes. Y'all will never see me do that. Someone says, just drop comedy altogether because look at Family Guy, the most offensive. Well, some people love Family Guy, some people hate Family Guy, And I'm not into censorship. However, there should be a rule in comedy where you don't use people's health to make jokes, period. Okay. All right. So my question for you all is, where do we draw the line? Because we're going to have this conversation. Like, where do we draw the line with what you can talk about online and what you can't talk about, like when it comes to comedy? Like, where do we draw the line? Janet, good point. When we start to censor people, then where do we? Yeah. And look, I don't have the answers. I'm just willing to have the conversation. And somebody says, if you're laughing, As someone and not with them, it's not a joke. They should be laughing more than anyone else. Right, but it's like if somebody's making a LeBron James hairline joke, right, and then LeBron's in the crowd and LeBron's laughing, then I mean he's okay with it, right? But that's LeBron James, you know. But then Jada might not be okay with it, so we can't use like it's different, you know. It's really different. He was showing his young audience how to handle problems. But this is not the way. If you're talking about Chris Rock, I agree. Because Chris Rock did not retaliate. And I this morning I've seen a lot of takes from people on sports shows who are saying, "Man, if I was Chris Rock, I'd have hit him back. If I would have hit him back." And my first thought, right, is somebody asked me, what would I do if Will Smith slapped Dr. Kojo? So I mean, if Will Smith slapped me, right, is different from Chris Rock because Chris Rock is already established, right? So if I press charges, maybe I would have something to gain from it. I still don't think I would. But my first thought would be to to hit him back. I'm not gonna lie because someone comes and hits me out of nowhere. I'm like I gotta hit you back. But because I think for the most part, because I think before I do, if I was in that same situation, and this is different if you're walking on Sunset Boulevard and somebody just punches you, right? At that point, you turn around, find out who hit you or whatever, and you handle your business. But on that big of a stage, uh, I would have done exactly what Chris Rock did. I would have, just let the situation go, get the Questlove, and just keep it moving. And I think that's how you can diffuse a situation without it just going way overboard. And Austin says comedy is subjective. No one's rule of what is and what isn't funny. The other censored. Okay. Okay. Yeah. And people are saying y'all assume that he knew about hair issues. Simone, I didn't know about that. I did not know about that. So I had no idea. I don't think I even got the joke, honestly. Like when Chris Rock said I wasn't laughing because the joke wasn't funny to me. I didn't get the reference, right? So I didn't get the reference. So I was just kind of like looking to see what they put on the big screen. I wonder if he would have slapped Steve. I don't know Will Smith, so I don't know what to say to this right here. I think Chris showed tremendous. Right. So this is where I give Chris Rock a lot of credit because he did not fight back. I don't know if he even wanted to, but I'm happy he did not fight back. Someone says, "Don't joke about people's natural appearances or relationships unless." Right. Shailene. So I like this. It's okay to joke about your own appearance or your own relationship, right? But you would think that if you're dating somebody and you're making a joke about them, you would have ran it by them, right? We would hope that you don't go on stage or hit an open mic and start to talk down about your spouse, right? Let me see. They thought it was staged. I did at first, and afterwards I was like, all right, this is not stage at all. And Will has ADHD. I don't know. I cannot confirm or deny. Vivi cannot confirm or deny. Let me see. All I saw was a man protecting his wife. Respect. I'm all for protecting your wife. I'm not for assaulting somebody, but I'm all for protecting your wife. You gotta protect the old lady, right? We're not gonna talk about August Eslina on here. We're not gonna talk about that. I want to keep this as focused as possible. Oh boy. And Mickey Ficky, what Chris said was wrong, but what right. So this is what Rachel. This is the whole gist of what I was saying. I agree. There were no winners, in this situation last night. And I mean, look, everybody. This is what everybody's thinking about, right? Everybody's thinking about, Chris Rock, Will Smith. We're not talking about how Billie Eilish is such a wonderful musician, right? I was like, wow, she can really sing. I'm like, I'm late to the Billie Eilish party, but now this Chris Rock and Will Smith thing is dominating the headlines. Um, Sydney. So when I say old lady is like in the South, that's how we call somebody's like wife or something like that. Like, oh, that's Kojo's old lady, or that's Mike's old lady. Doesn't mean that you're an old lady. Just means that that's somebody's girl, right? Like your main girl or your girlfriend or whatever. Oh boy, but this is good. I gotta keep this at the 30-minute mark because I have to head out to another podcast interview. But this is pretty dope. I like going on. Uh, I like doing these lives in the middle of the day. So as long as you all like these, I will definitely keep these up. But this is super fun. This is super fun. And I'll definitely be back on here again. Of course, I'm going live tonight. We're talking about relationships and mental health with a special guest, Dr. Tracy D. But once again, thank you so much for your attention, and peace out. Love y'all.